We got UConn and Louisville, Big East football. The Big East splintering apart as we speak. But anyway, Louisville laying 11.5 points in this one, total 45.5. And Marco, this is your best bet. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. But the Big East didn't start out as our friend. I remember doing a radio show with you way back at the start of the season, and we both thought Pittsburgh could come back against the Cincinnati Bearcats after that rough outing against Youngstown State. And unfortunately, I think it was one play into it, we see a 60-yard touchdown run by Cincinnati as Pittsburgh's defense at the time was clueless. But anyway, as far as this game is concerned, we were both, or all three, big, I think, on Syracuse over Louisville a couple of weeks ago. They did as well. And on UConn the following Friday night, by the way, against Pittsburgh. So I'd like to say that you're pretty locked in right now on these Big East games. What do you think about this one?
Well, this is a situation. A lot of times we talk about teams when they finally lose their first game, how they react after that. And this is what we have with Louisville. And they've had 2 weeks since they lost it. They had the week off after it. But really, when you look at it, Louisville didn't have their season wrecked because they knew they had no shot at a national championship. Their goal was to win the Big East, and that is still intact. Even though they lost their last game, they've got one loss, so does Rutgers, and they play Rutgers next. Well, Rutgers doesn't have a loss yet, do they?
Yeah, they lost to Kent State. Yeah.
Kent State. Well, but in Big East play. Big East play.
Right.
But they play next week. So if Louisville wins that game, they win the tiebreaker for the head-to-head. So their season's intact, but they got to take care of business today. And one of the things that I've talked about, the key to beating Louisville, and the team that I've been locked in on is Louisville. I've been going with and against Louisville the last few weeks. And teams that can run the football present problems to Louisville. This isn't one of those teams. Connecticut doesn't run the ball well at all. They did run the ball last game for 132 yards, but that was against Pitt the week after Pitt played Notre Dame in that overtime game, and they had to come back on a Friday night. It was a short week, and again, we were all on Connecticut that night.
I got a couple of questions off the X's and O's parts of it in this one for you, Brian. First one is the whispers out there that Charlie Strong is on the Tennessee Volunteers short list as far as head coaching possibility for next year. His name being mentioned in a lot of places right now. I give him credit for what he's done, turning Louisville back into a winner as fast as he has, but they are an overrated football team. They would probably be a team that's looking to get bowl eligible if they're in a really strong conference right now, maybe a 6-5 type of football team. Do you factor that into your handicapping at all when the local media even is pointed it out in press conferences that your head coach, that all the kids like, may be looking elsewhere as soon as the season's over with?
Possibly for a bowl game, but the season's not over. They still got games to play here, so I don't think that's going to be much of a significant difference here. And in regards to this game, this Connecticut defense has been solid all year.
Right.
I mean, 5 out of the last 6 games, they've allowed 19 points or less. They're coming off that great game on national TV 2 weeks ago. But what is a concern for me from the Connecticut side, or for the Louisville side, is Connecticut has had 2 byes out of the last 4 weeks. This time of the season, and I know Louisville's off a bye too, but this time in the season to have 2 out of the last 4 weeks that you're off, you can get healthy, that's always a concern. Louisville off that big win, also a little bit of a concern here too. So I don't have a play on this game, but it'll be interesting to see what you use.
Louisville lost their all-everything running back, Perry. They got this kid, Jeremy Wright, who's not bad, by the way. Jeremy Wright, I think, has like 650, 660 yards on the season. So it's not like they're getting a brand-new guy who's only had 10 carries on the year stepping in. And you do have Louisville, who's 6-0 at home, and they're winning those games by 14 points per contest. Marco, this is your best bet.
Okay, guys, we got to get back on track with the video best bet of the week. Last week, we lost bad, and I lost the bet to my guy to the left. I got to buy him a pizza. He's been sending me reminders every day this week. He's hungry. He wants his pizza. So we'll get that taken care of. But we're still 9-4 with the video best bets, and I like Louisville here. As I said, the key to beating Louisville is you got to have a strong rushing game. Connecticut, they don't have it. Prior to the Pitt game, and we said it was a horrible spot for Pitt, they rushed for 53 yards against Rutgers, 88 yards against Temple, and -6 against Syracuse, and 43 yards against South Florida. Other than Rutgers in that lineup, none of those teams have great defenses. I like Louisville to roll big. And one thing, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit about Charlie Strong. I actually think, being that it's the last home game, these players do like him. He's a very likable. It's not like some of these other coaches. They like him a lot. I think they play their guts out for him in the last home game on Senior Day. And I've got Louisville rolling big. It's my video best bet. Louisville 41-17.
Great stuff. And they got a pretty good quarterback who UConn's not used to seeing also, by the way, what he could do with the arm and with the feet. But anyway, nice stuff. That's a best bet from Marco on Louisville, minus the points. When we come back, the Big Ten, the maize in blue against the hardest nut to crack, and that is the Buckeye. That's up next right here at pregame.tv.